Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome back to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a Terran versus Protoss, where in map number 1, we find ourselves on Everdream. Spawning here, in the top right hand corner, playing with the Red Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have one of the strongest Terran players in the world, and his nickname is Kjur. His opponent and teammate in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Protoss probes. Actually, I'm saying that. They are both in DPG, right? Dragon Phoenix Gaming, but they have like a different decal spinning around on their main structures right there. That's a little bit odd. I guess they're not quite in the same StarCraft 2 clan, but they are in the same team. There's a bit of a difference there. But anyways, his opponent playing with the blue Protoss probes, also from South Korea. We have none other than Parting. Alrighty. I do love myself watching some Parting games. I mean, obviously, Kjur also one of my absolute favorites, but Parting really has been throwing out some ridiculous micro, especially over the last couple of weeks. He's been able to, well, really, like, it's been like a hallmark in his career over time, but there's no denying that he's once again become ridiculously good at just simply microing his stuff. Especially the Stalker, right? He's a big fan of the Stalker, blinking around the Terran opponent, so I think we should be in for a really fun match. Now, Kjur, while most of the time being known as a macro-based Terran player, he's already sent out an SCV to watch the other side of the map. And I think he's gonna proxy a factory. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so this is not something that Kjur usually does. This is something that can be scouted quite easily, though. I mean, Marine will be coming up here in a little bit, so I guess that's gonna help get rid of this probe. If the probe goes into the main base, this would be all the information it needs, but I mean, Parting doesn't usually do this kind of strategy. How often will he really go ahead and proxy a factory? I guess just seeing the lack of a probe right now is already a little bit of, I have no idea what he's saying, but it's already a little bit of information. I wish I spoke Korean in these kind of scenarios. Can someone please go ahead and translate it down below in the comment section? Anyways. Is this gonna be something that will be spotted? Ugh, Parting is looking around. He's looking over at what is usually like the 4th base here of the Protoss, but yeah, he's not gonna find any of these structures, and there's a second one coming up right now as well. Kjur is proxying the starport as well. I love this. Most of the time, whenever a player reaches the top level, they get there by playing like one strategy really, really well. And more often than not, that's gonna be that macro-based style, right? Now, obviously, at some point, if your opponents know that, you need to start mixing it up a little bit as well, and that's exactly what Kjur is doing right now. Man, they're just having a little bit of banter over here. I have no idea. Anyways, a double shield battery here at the front. Parting does realize that something's not quite right, but yeah, it's gonna be a medevac. So I think there's gonna be a bunch of Hellions, and then a medevac to ferry those units into the main base, and then probably go after the mineral line. It can be game over very, very quickly. Still no command center, though, so obviously Kjur is essentially going for what seems to be an all-in, right? This needs to deal a lot of damage. Parting at this point has no idea what's going on. He's going for the Twilight Council. Yeah, this actually times out perfectly, look at that. So it takes 3 of those Hellions to one-shot a SC, or a probe, rather. So yeah, if you have 3 Hellions inside of the main base, that can end the game very quickly. Well, here we go. Parting, how good is your response going to be? He did immediately pull a couple of the boys, but it is so easy to just lose all of your mineral line. You have a couple of Stalkers, great. You will have Blink here in a little bit as well, great, but just like that. Okay, 18 workers go down, and game number 1 in this series is over. Alrighty, and just like that, we already find ourselves on Nightshade, which is map number 2 in this best of 3 series. Now, here's the thing. Even if you're the best Protoss player in the world or the best StarCraft 2 player in the world, those games still happen. They're unfortunate, but you're always working with limited information. So, if you're like a ladder player, right, and you mostly just play games on the ladder and you lose games all the time, similar to how Parting just lost, I guess, you know, you can always just remember that Parting lost like that as well, once upon a time. It happens to the best. Especially for Zerg players, it's very common to lose while you're droning up. And that's usually just a little bit of misreading of the situation or just lacking scouting in general. But it happens all the time where Zerg is dying with like 80 drones in the bank and then absolutely no army. You feel really dumb, it feels really stupid, but it's honestly one of the better ways to lose. Because, you know, at that point, you can go into the replay, figure out when you should be making army instead and when you should respond, and you can just do it a little bit better next time. Anyways, we do find ourselves on Nightshade. This map is pretty straightforward. I've seen Parting play Stalkers many, many times on this map. I mean, Parting is the one Protoss player at the highest level that really, like, say this is going to be the location of the Terran's second base and then also the third base, right? The Stalkers of Parting will be hanging out right around this area of the map or right over here. He likes being in your face and must be really frustrating to play against. Obviously, it's always a bit of a risk as well if you're the Protoss, because if you don't pay attention for even a split second and the Marauders stim forward and kill your stuff, that's going to be game over, but if you're fast enough, you can get a lot of damage in. Anyways, for now, standard openers this time around. No cheekiness. It's going to be a command center on the low ground as well. This is now confirmed by Parting, which is nice. The one Marine is out once again. Cure is going to go for the reactor before a factory, so this will be a pretty heavy focus right now on those Marines. We'll see what he decides to go for here in a little bit. Now, with the Cybercore finishing up, we should also see the tech that the Protoss player wants to go for here in just a little bit. Is it going to be a starport, or a Stargate rather? Is it going to be a robotics facility, or will it be a Twilight Council? Most of the time, I see Parting going for a Twilight. He is going to go for the Warp Gate upgrade first, so it has to be either a Twilight or a Robo. And, well, actually, at this point, he's already queued up the Stalker, so he doesn't have the resources. He's just going to patrol left and right over here, which makes me think it has to be a Twilight Council. Could also be a Robo, though. We'll see. Factory is finally coming up. Yeah, it will be a Twilight Council. There it is. Factory is finally coming up right now for Cure as well. Should be able to add on that Starport here in a little bit as well. I really feel like they should have just made Starport and Stargates the same name, okay? Because I'm pretty sure everyone always gets them wrong. Or maybe I'm the only one, I don't know. Now I actually mentioned that, I don't think anyone ever really gets that wrong but me. I call Starports Stargates all the time and Stargates Starports all the time. I don't know. It's one of the things I can't fix, okay? This is a Terran Stargate. And there might be a Protoss Starport out here somewhere as well. Anyways, there it is. Parting's most beloved upgrade in StarCraft 2. Obviously he's chrono boosting it out. Right? He's got to get himself that blink upgrade as soon as possible. Okay. Relatively passive opener, though, from both of these players this time around. Just simply getting themselves that economy going. Not really any aggression here coming out of Cure yet either. I mean, he can't really do very much. Going for the double tech lab right now, so he will start up the cloaking field. Okay. That's pretty interesting. Cloaking field here with the Banshees. Relatively late Banshee, though, because of the timing of that Starport. And then also that factory. Now I was double checking myself if I said Starport or Stargate. Cure constantly lifting up the depots, making sure that the Adept cannot go into the main base and get all of the scouting information that he would like to get. Third Nexus is already coming up here as well. And with the robotics facility now coming up too, this should give him the detection that he needs. Although most of the time the first of those observers does go across the map, so he won't be able to detect every single location right from the get-go. Now that's a curious pylon positioning. I guess that is just to, like, see incoming drops. Yeah, I think it is. Pretty sure, well, maybe if you're all the way on the very edge, you can actually scoot a medevac by it, but that doesn't always happen. Huh. I haven't actually seen very many people do that, but if that's the goal, why would you not just put it over here? Then you're, like, guaranteed to see it, although I guess some Terrans might send it, you know, in this direction rather than, like, all the way through the bottom left-hand corner. But anyways, should be fine. Couple of Marines and one Banshee going around the map. There's an hallucinated Phoenix right now, spotting that third command center from going up. I believe that the pylon did just see that there was indeed a Banshee over here. Yep, Parting, paying very close attention there to the minimap. Should be able to get an observer here in just a little bit too. And while the cloaking field does indeed come up here, the first observer that was out was already sent back again as well. So nicely done here. Parting should be able to defend this with very, very few losses. At the same time, though, there is a Terran force moving out. Was this seen here by Parting? Oh my god! That announcer of his at the very least noticed it. I think that's Caster Park, wasn't it? I think so. It's one of the Korean GSL commentators. Oh, gets the snipe right there on that sentry. That's really nice. A couple of siege tanks over here, though, and this is actually kind of scary. A couple of SCVs were brought with this party as well, so he's actually going to start producing bunkers. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is a super late third command center here, so this is something that Cure needs to deal damage with. I love the addition of the bunkers. This is like the weirdest bunker rush that I've seen. A 6-minute bunker rush. Not quite what we normally see in SC2, but it's going to create like a safe space for these Marines to like get into, right? And also for the siege tanks to slowly roll forward with. Since there's no Colossi or really any like, you know, breaking units over here, I guess is what we can call them. I guess the Immortals can help out. I mean, there's one right now. It starts hitting away right now at one of the tanks. Nicely done. Blinks forward here as well. Gets the second tank. Third siege tank should also be picked up. Okay, nicely done there, but it did go at the cost of a lot of Stalkers, and Kjur certainly is going to be able to continue this harassment for a little while longer. While this is going on, he did already finish up his third command center, so he can certainly continue this fight. The 6-minute bunker rush. I think it will be defended relatively easily, but I love the idea. It's a cool style, and something that a weaker Protoss player might just very well die to. And actually, ooh, hold that thought. Another Immortal almost fell there. The shield batteries did run out. And while apparently Jimmy and his crew are still sitting inside of the bunker, I've got a feeling they should probably get away. Scans right there just to confirm the positioning of that one observer. And this now finally means that Parting manages to break free. Okay. The question is, does Kjur have enough at this point in the game to defend against this push that's coming across the map? There's a siege tank getting in position. I think that's Kjur trying to defend his third base. Oh, Banshee. Oh, close. He just barely cloaked it right there in time. I thought it was gonna die. There's an observer though, flying forward. Couple of probes actually over at the third base will be picked off as well. That one Banshee, I guess it was hanging out over here for a while. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it actually flew across the map at the same time. No, the Stalkers blinked forward. I saw them moving right there on that mini-map. A couple of the Immortals come forward as well. SCVs once again pulled away from the mineral line. Siege tank will be blinked on as well. Should be target fired down. Nicely done. Only 2 Immortals remain, but there's the Prism. And Prism's, of course, very helpful when it comes to like keeping your units alive. Will you be able to save them? Oh my god, yeah. You won't be able to save all of these units, it looks like. Those Immortals especially, though. Very, very close to dying. At the same time, probes in the main base do take a little bit of damage once again. 9 SCVs go down here as well. They were used for the defense. Mule gets targeted as well. Is there going to be enough right now, though, for Parting to potentially close out this game? I'm not entirely sure. There's still a lot of SCVs remaining here to soak some of that damage. Immortals shooting away as much as they can. SCVs obviously still very valuable targets here. Nicely done. Once again, some good Blink Stalker micro. Marines and Marauders, though, Stimpak once again. One of the Immortals does fall, which is great. Oh, man, that's so many SCVs, though. Is this something you can recover from? I mean, even if you hold this right now, 37 SCVs seems like a ton of workers. Another siege tank does get picked off as well. Slowly, though, this Protoss army is dwindling, and obviously there's 3 mules mining over at the third base. This is something that Parting did not scout until right now. I like this decision a lot. Rather than trying to force the issue, trying to close out this game right here, right now, going for the guaranteed damage, pretty much always the better choice in StarCraft 2. He's now also taking a 4th Nexus. So I love that. Really smart. Darren, though, as far as like army supply goes right now, right? Pretty much even. Yeah, 35 army value here for both. And obviously the Marine Marauder army is super cost efficient, especially with a siege tank there in the back. Is he going to blink on top of it? Nah, he's going to be able to blink these units away over time. Nicely done. Gets another siege tank. Alright. Neither player really getting a ton of upgrades. I mean, Charge will finish here in a little bit as well. Plus, we see 1 Forge upgrade here, but Kjur has stopped upgrading his bio units here for a while. I think he's going to pull the boys, yeah. He's not upgrading anymore, which usually means that they want to go for some sort of all-in. Right now, the SCVs are pulled away from the mineral line as well, and I think that this is going to be the army that Kjur is going to try and win this best-of-3 series with. He's bringing a lot of SCVs. Is he going to go home? This is awkward. Right now, it's like so much lost mining time as well. Yeah, I think he's just going to mine primarily with mules and then a couple of SCVs inside of the main base. Looks like the Banshee finally got picked off too. 1 more Medevac and 1 more siege tank will join the fray as well, but Parting sees all of this. Of course, the Stalkers are out on the map rather than running home. Gets a little bit of damage done. I don't mind it. Ooh, Medevac actually almost dies. Wow, that was a little bit sloppy there back here. Flew it back, then flew it back forward. Okay. Now, this is a scary force, though. There's no splash damage here or whatever for Parting, right? No, you know, no Colossi, none of that, right? So let's see how much damage he can deal here. Cure, that is. Siege Tank does get into a pretty good spot. The SCVs take a lot of the damage as well, but I think there's just a little bit too much Protoss, especially now with this Warping coming in. Party will be able to even up the score. And actually, I just realized I didn't set the scoreboard. Anyways, that's a mistake on my end. Alrighty, so there we go. We find ourselves on Golden Wall, and look at that. I actually set the scoreboard this time around because I'm a professional. I got this. Amazing. Good job, Loco. Thanks. Did I just have a conversation with myself? I did. This is what happens when you solo cast a lot, guys. Maybe I should get someone to cast with. Actually, no, I kind of like solo casting. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, here we do see ourselves on Golden Wall LE. Now, you know what's weird? I've played a lot of maps, or a lot of games rather, on Golden Wall on this map. And with both Terran Protoss and Zerg, I seem to only ever face Zerg players. It's always either like a TVZ, a PVZ, or a ZVZ. It's always a Zerg opponent. I don't know if that's just me being exceptionally unlucky, but it seems like no Terran or Protoss player really wants to play this map, which is even more ironic, because I've asked and talked to a bunch of like Zerg pro gamers from Europe, and they all kind of dislike this map. They don't really like it very much. Isn't that weird? I don't know. They seem to all prefer the smaller maps recently, which is, yeah, kind of interesting. Not a lot of ladder Terrans and Protosses seem to play this map. Yet, the pro gamer Zergs do consider this map to be not that great for Zerg. I don't really know exactly why that is. For the longest time, actually, Zerg opponents always wanted to have, or Zerg players rather, wanted to have like the biggest map possible. But over time, I guess the strategies involve a lot more slowing moving army here as well. Anyways, standard openers this time around here for both players. Now, I like this a lot. This is not something we see all too often. Most of the time, we do see this base on the low ground behind the main as the third base, or maybe the fourth. Most of the time, though, we see players taking this as the natural, which is exactly what Cure is doing over here. Take this as the natural, and then expand over here to the third. Or maybe if you're feeling ballsy to watch the gold base as the third, or right over here in the back of the main as the third base as well. There's a lot of options for the third. It looks like Parting wants to go for his natural expansion on the low ground here instead, which is kind of cool. Now, there is an SCV over here. Stalker gets started up here first and foremost. This is going to be something that Cure sees. He sees the pylon over there. You also should see the lack of minerals over there, so that should give him quite a bit of information. And that should probably tell him more than he actually needs right now. I would kind of panic here, actually, if I was Cure. Like, what do you do in this situation? Do you start mining out your own minerals here in the back as well? Do you just sort of leave it over there? Are you worried for, like, Protoss, like, pushing over in this direction? I kind of like the idea, though. Like, say if you, like, have force fields on this ramp, right? And your opponent, like, tries to push from this direction, you can just happily mine from your natural, which is on the low ground right over here. And obviously, it's also a little bit more vulnerable. But, yeah, should be okay. Now, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Cure did lose that SCV before he saw the Stargate. Terrans always really want to see what kind of tech it is they're going up against. That does mean right now that Cure is going to have to play a pretty defensive game that's going to be good against most openers. So, there's a lot of variety when it comes to open up with 1-1-1. So sometimes we see the faster starport and then the faster factory, of course, as well. In the last game, we saw the factory, then the starport, then the double tech lab. In this case, it looks like this... Yeah, it's gonna be a Cyclone, right? I think it's a Cyclone. Cyclone's really good defensively. Yeah, there it is. So there's Marines and Cyclones here. Should be enough. Sometimes you see the Widow Mine variation as well. There's a lot of different ways you can open up as you are playing the Terran pieces in this matchup. But it's difficult to be safe against everything, I suppose. Ha! Now that's cool. Okay, so hold that thought. That's actually kind of clever. He's going for an hallucinated oracle. Now, while that's not all too uncommon, we see this every once in a while, he's actually going for a starport. So this is like, you know, this is like a double negative, right? If you're gonna hallucinate an oracle, do you think it's actually gonna be a Stargate opener by your opponent? Probably not. Because the only time you would go for an hallucinated oracle is when you're trying to fake that you're going for a Stargate, right? However, he knows that his opponent knows that he's probably assuming now that it's going to be a fake Stargate, that he's actually going Stargate. He's saving up a bunch of those Phoenixes. And apparently they're doing a little dance over at the natural. A little victory dance there. Not bad at all. Yeah, this is kind of ironic right now. I would not expect my opponent to go for any Stargate units anymore after seeing an hallucinated oracle, right? Obviously, it's not a big deal. It's not really that significant, but it can definitely throw you off just a little bit. Alright, Parting. What's gonna be the next deal? There it is. Okay, thanks. What's going to be the next part of this plan? Just going for a heavy focus on Phoenixes. Pretty interesting. I do like Phoenixes a lot. Phoenixes are one of those units that get better the stronger the player is. It's kind of funny. Like, at the highest level of StarCraft, well, I've got a feeling that this, unless it's not scouted, this Banshee should not get anything done. Yep, just not going to be able to get anything done. Phoenixes are one of those units. Okay. Phoenixes are one of those units that are, generally speaking, very good in players, in the hands of players that are very good at StarCraft, but they're very bad at players, or in the hands of players, rather, that are not very good at StarCraft. It's a weird situation to be in. Now, actually, Cure, rather than defending against these Phoenixes, he's just running across the map. Cure, here's the thing. There's no natural. Well, there is a natural, but it's... I'm assuming he knows, just by seeing those mineral patches mined out earlier, maybe he didn't put one-on-one together, that this can be defended quite easily. Yeah, just go up the ramp and just force food over here. Phoenixes, in the meantime, have killed 7 SCVs. A couple of SCVs were brought with this party as well. Maybe Cure wanted to go for like a bunker rush again. Well, rush. Quote-unquote rush. I think that's exactly what I wanted to do. 6-minute bunker rush. Anyways, right now, Cure knows what's up, but you can force field this with just one force field. There it is. Oh, I love that. And actually, as a follow-up right now as well, he's going for Disruptors. Kind of cool. Now, no bunkers this time around. It's going to be missile turrets instead. So, because he's seen, obviously, those Phoenixes. I like this. Not sure exactly how this plays out, though. Observer will be picked off. Bunkers are coming up right now as well. But, I mean, how many sentries do you need? I think you need, like, 6 in order to, like, permanently force field a ramp. The thing is, Disruptors are going to be amazing. They can go through those force fields. A little bit of damage done so far by that bad boy. Siege tank, though? Ooh, high ground vision over here, yeah. The siege tank is quite significant as well. He needed to get the force field down. Does get the force field down right now, but that's in range of both of those siege tanks. Is he going to go in there regardless of the missile turrets? I guess he is. A couple of Cyclones are joining the fray as well. One of the siege tanks does get lifted. Cure dealing a lot of damage from the back. That tank over there continuously softening up this army. A great micro once again by Parting, man. I feel like I say that every single Parting game that I cast, but the guy really has amazing micro. There's a Disruptor! Oh, that was Disruptor number 2. Cure puts 2 dots in the chat. I don't need to speak Korean to figure out what that means. He's like, you mother... lover. One of these has the Purification Nova ready to go. There it is. Ooh. Yeah, Cure, I don't see you getting much done, buddy. There's just gonna be more and more of these Disruptors coming out. And I mean, you don't really have much of a standing army. Now, he is still rallying other units across the map. There's the siege tank also going down. Maybe these Stalkers are feeling a little bit too brave. Actually, even without Blink, apparently he can still get value out of those. Oh. One of the Marines did end up getting the kill, but yeah, now that the bases in the back do get scouted. And what exactly are you going to do at this point, Cure? Okay, he's just going to go ahead and plant himself down a 3rd command center. Probably wants to aim for the golden minerals at this point, because he needs to play a little bit of catch-up. Phoenixes are great, though, when it comes to pushing as well, right? You can get a lot of value just out of lifting these units. And, yeah, if your anti-air is not up to par, you may end up losing your siege tanks. Yep. It's a lot of damage. Sure, just lift everything. Okay, well, I don't know if this was actually that great. He's still gonna try and get it. More Marines are coming out. Terran units are bleeding slowly, though. Is he gonna get it? He will. The thing about Phoenixes, the main weakness of Phoenixes is just lots of units. So, generally speaking, once the armies get bigger, players just don't have the amount of, you know, babysitting anymore that these units really require. You need to constantly micro them if you want to get value out of them. And in the big battles, they just get gunned down so fast. So you don't really want to have them necessarily in like maxed out situations below like 100 supplies when they seem to be most efficient. So I don't mind that trade at all. Like losing the Phoenixes there in exchange for a couple of siege tanks and stuff, or 1 siege tank and a couple of Marines. I think that's totally fine. Disruptors do deal damage to structures too. And now Cure is going to be the one who's forced to play defensively. 4th base coming up here as well, and now it's just, you know, 3 base Terran here versus what seems to be soon 4 base Protoss. There's a Colossus now also joining the fray, which I quite like. Only just now is when we see Combat Shield and then the Concussive Shells as well, so that's relatively late, all things considered. He is gonna go for the back base. Now, I like the back base most of the time. Right now, though, Terran is gonna have to defend both this area of the map as well as this location right over here, which I'm not the biggest fan. It's a little bit risky, because where are you going to put the siege tanks, right? Most of the time, you're probably better off putting the siege tanks over here and then rolling them to the natural or the third base whenever required. But if you're going to put all of your eggs in, like, defending this third base, right? The natural is super vulnerable. Kind of cool, though, because right now we're, like, in the bottom section of Golden Wall, which is not something I've really seen very often. Most of the time, it's, like, above the Golden Wall, north of the wall, where we see most of the games being decided. Now all of a sudden the players are mining the minerals that are making this map much smaller. This now kind of feels like a tiny map, right? There's this entire top section of it, but we're not really paying attention to it very much. Alright. Barding, what exactly are you going to do though? There's a couple of Widow Mines set up here as well. Cure is scrambling his units back to the natural. This is like one mistake away from like absolutely getting murdered. Like, it's so easy to accidentally overwhelm this. Right? The Terran just has to be in one bad spot at a time, and they're gonna be just fine. Now, there are still Disruptors here, so that should be pretty good here for cleaning up those Widow memes. Oh, well, instead he's gonna sack a Zealot. Poor Zealot. Big hit right there on that Widow Mine as well, but the Disruptor Purification Novas are, oh my god, in the mineral line. A lot of damage is being done. A couple of those Colossi dealing damage as well from the back. Another Purification Nova goes down. Cure does have a couple of Stalkers right now, or a couple of these Vikings rather, working on the Colossi. But there is way too much Protoss, and that does mean that Parting obtains the victory in this best of 3 series in a 2-1 fashion. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.